Hello people, this is Exiled. I'm making this video to Red's Rhetoric. I guess that's who this video is to, and it's also to the larger community, and it concerns Steve McRae and an incident that happened over the summer wherein Steve McRae hosted a convicted rapist on his platform, gave him a platform. The guy's name is Earl David Worden, Worden. He is otherwise known as News Now Houston, and he is a, quote, police auditor, unquote. He makes it his mission in life to keep the police in check so that the police don't get caught out, or sometimes they do get caught violating people's rights to stand on the sidewalk, to hover around near chemical companies and that sort of thing. Boring subject to me. I guess there's a huge market for it on YouTube, whatever, okay? The fact is, it was a guy in this community is a convicted rapist. Now, this caught my attention. I couldn't not pay attention. I watched the live stream after it had happened, like the next day. So I wasn't watching it live. I was watching the comments, though, in the live chat, on live chat replay. And I was noticing that there were a bunch of people trying to alert Steve to the fact that there was a convicted rapist on his stream. And Steve had said, no drama. Anybody leaving comments about anything other than police auditing will be removed. And sure enough, all of the comments were removed. Everybody trying to warn Steve about this guy being a convicted rapist had their comments removed. And meanwhile, I started seeing that Steve was pretending, or not pretending, Steve was telling people that he knew all about this guy's police record and that it wasn't a big concern. It was nothing big. Later on, I saw the words Romeo and Juliet situation thrown around, yeah. And this is just a big mistake on Steve's part. He accidentally, on purpose, I guess, let a convicted rapist on his channel. A real creepy guy. And the guy sort of fooled him into thinking that the police stuff that people are always bringing up, it's just like, it's not really that big a deal. It's just I was involved with a teenage girl and I was 21. What a line of bullshit that turned out to be. 5 minutes of my taking my time to search this guy's name on the internet, on the larger internet, revealed a live leak video. This is a video that Earl David Worden recorded himself. He always records his conversations with detectives and the police. So he had recorded it. And so I get to stare at the two police detectives that Earl is recording. And you have to pay attention. This information is out there, but you actually have to sit there and listen to the whole thing. And you find out that what had actually happened is that Earl David Worden was in his mid-30s, possibly 40s, who knows, and he was in a relationship sleeping with a 17-year-old, but he had lied to her. He had told the girl he was in his 20s and he was 21, or something like that. And it was only revealed 3 months later, after this girl is involved with Earl, the 35-year-old man. He gets arrested for some gun charge, and now everybody knows, and the girl's mother is freaking out, and it's in Earl's file.
Not answer for you. Okay. Now, regardless of that, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about the girls, My kids, or are we talking about Ashley? Pick a direction.
Aren't they both your children?
They are all my
Okay,
children.
there we go.
But I'm saying, what do you?
We're talking about your daughters. Well, let's go back to Brandy. You tell me that she was dating a 33-year-old, correct? And she was what, 16 or 17?
15, I believe.
You told me 16 earlier.
I think I said 16, but I believe 15. Come on, we'll go back and do the math.
Okay.
Did you
Tomato,
Did you
right?
report that or do anything about that?
We talked to the police, Houston PD, about it, but it didn't go anywhere.
Okay. Okay, so you find that, do you think that's wrong for him to do that? A 33-year-old dating a 16-year-old or 15-year-old?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, then why did you do it?
I didn't do it. I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, who's Holly McMillan?
Holly McMillan was almost 18.
She was 17. So yes, almost 18. Why'd you lie about her age to you?
Why did I what?
Why'd you lie about your age to her? She says that she was 17 years old. Hold on, listen, working at the Dairy Queen.
Mm-hmm.
You come in there all the time and hit on her. And
No.
she tells me that you told her that you were in like mid-20s or something like that. She
Late
finds out-
20s.
And y'all date, have sex for 3 to 4 months, okay? Right?
Go ahead.
You get arrested in LaPorte off Sylvan Beach, and then she finds out you're almost 40 or something like that.
No, I was mid-30s.
17, 35,
Yeah.
16, 33. You think a 33 on a 16-year-old is wrong, right? Well, yeah, it's illegal. 16 years old, juvenile, 33 years old. But didn't you do the same thing? Technically, age discrepancy-wise, lied about your age to her.
I did. And she was almost 18, and I didn't go in there and flirt with her all the time. I met her at the Dairy Queen. Everybody worked there, and I used to talk to everybody. And one day I came by, she was outside crying. And that's how I got her number.
He's not charged with anything about the girl. It's just in his record, okay? And so Earl used this part of his history with the police and his criminal history to distract Steve from the rest of his criminal history, which many, many years earlier involved a very real rape of at least one woman, possibly more, wherein the guy was in his 20s working as a security guard, and he pretended to be a police officer, picked up this girl, raped her, brought her home, threw her purse out the window, made a few creepy calls to her, and finally she got her ID back eventually. Now, that's all I need to tell you, because I'm going to link you a video by Fiona Robertson that lays this all out brilliantly. The video by Fiona is true and correct and contains evidence. He was convicted by a jury, and because it was his first offense and he was, a young man, he got parole. He violated his parole and spent 10 years in jail, incarcerated. And then after he got out of jail, I think that's when he got involved with the 17-year-old and had to lie to her and, tell her he was 21 in order to get her into bed. Yeah. So this psychopath who convinces a whole bunch of people are believing this guy's stories. It's not just Steve. But this is the great debate community, and I expect the great debate community to behave a lot better than the police auditing community, who seems to have a lot of suckers in it. Yeah? So we failed. So far we failed, and this video I'm making right now is to try to rally the troops of the great debate community to not be as fucking dumb and gullible as the police auditing community is. Now, there is a very small group within the police auditing community who actually policed their own community. I don't see any of us doing that here. Well, there are, actually, there are some of us policing our community. Because in this live stream where Earl is being hosted on Steve McRae's channel, there were people in the live stream calling it out, saying, look, I'm warning you, just warning Steve. He removed all of the comments. And then he was removing the comments from the comment section. So what I did is I happened to know someone who's friends with Steve. His name is Rhetoric. Now, I used to know him as Redline. Redline and I and my husband, we were friends with Redline at one time. And I thought I could reach out to Redline and try to pass a message from Redline through to Steve. Redline was not very happy about that. He made me take down a bunch of tweets I had made first in exchange for passing along the information, the correct information about this guy to Steve. Yeah. So I took down all my tweets calling out Red's rhetoric for, having, I guess, a friend of Redline's was on Steve's live stream with the rapist too. So I thought maybe he would be concerned about this just a little bit, maybe just a little concerned. He wasn't. The response I got back from Redline was that Steve didn't care. It was an interesting subject. He didn't care that the guy was a rapist. And this conversation took place, right after the live stream and right after I learned what I learned. So what's happening now is that I noticed Redline had made this pathetic video response to Fiona Robertson. Now, Redline hates Fiona, and there's some reason for that. Okay. At our friend Jade's funeral, apparently Redline acted like an asshole and also demonstrated in front of others abuse toward his then girlfriend. And he got called out for that on a live stream on JD Kain's channel, Talking Shit Tuesday. And I understand he wants that video taken down, and he's demanding it. Understand, Redline, that you make a lot of demands and threats to people if they don't comply with your demands. That video isn't coming down. They rightly called you out about your behavior during Jade's funeral. Let it go. Be the adult, like you should have been at Jade's funeral. If they hadn't called you out for acting the way you were acting and for behaving toward your own then girlfriend the way you were, then they would have been human beings for not calling you out. But they did. And that's the way social groups work. Yeah? If I'm out with a group of friends and Brian suddenly starts being abusive toward me, the friends should say, hey, yeah, stop it. That's absolutely unacceptable. And so stuff like this happened, and it apparently is still really bothering Redline, and I believe that's why he's making his most recent video attacking Fiona Robertson and then monitoring her every move in his comment section for his huge audience, who I really hope are not as gullible as the 200,000 or so people in the police auditing community. So let's see if we can be better than the police auditing community and say, hey, I'm sorry, I platformed a guy who's a convicted rapist who's currently being charged with molesting his daughters. So none of his daughters like him. It's just a basically reprehensible but charming sex predator. Let's not do that. Yeah. Now, in Fiona's video, video title uses the words Rape Apology 101. It's an accurate representation of what is happening here. Not to be um, um, dissuaded, they have doubled down on this, saying Steve McRae is not a Redline has doubled down on this and said Steve McRae is not a rape apologist. Here's the definition of rape apology. Steve does not do this. Steve, put your fucking neuroatypical bullshit down for a second, and let's look at what happened in real life. And let me tell you, from someone who is as old as Earl David Warden and the woman he raped, okay, from the same time frame, that this is just how things went down back then. You know, the police did as best as they could, but you know, if it's your first offense, you get parole. But guess what? The police are going to be watching you, as they should be. Yeah. Fiona, her videos, it's perfect. Now, she does get into some kind of comment exchange between Redline's current girlfriend, who visited a stream that Dragnot was hosting, and she made a comment that was kind of sketchy. I don't care about the question mark, Redline. I have no concern about whether it was a question or whether she was over there trolling for you or trolling because she had some concerns herself that Steve had hosted a convicted rapist on his live stream and she was on it. It could be that. But what I do notice about that particular part of Fiona's video, and the part you seem to want to highlight over all the other issues, is that your girlfriend was allowed to leave comments. Her comments weren't removed. She could have said whatever she wanted. And as far as Drag knew, she called him a rape apologist. I mean, she called him a sex offender of some sort, and he just laughed it off and just let her, continue to go on. Yeah, that's how the community used to be. It used to be a little bit more open with the blocking shit, but I don't have a problem with being blocked. If somebody blocks me, I won't visit their channel again and try to leave comments. I'll just be done with the person. Personally, that's how I handle that. And so I got blocked by Steve on Twitter. I got blocked by you on Twitter, so I blocked you back. Redline. But now I'm on my own channel, and now I have a few things to say. You told me that you like to make videos about space, rockets, and flat Earth. You like to debunk flat earthers. You don't like to debunk other kinds of skeevy, grifting, con artist rapists, though. You like to throw shade on people who are calling them out. You like to completely ignore the victim of that heinous rape. Yeah. And even though it happened such a long time ago, I bet if that woman is still alive today, she remembers Earl David Warden, and she remembers what happened to her. Now, I've lost track of where I was going with this. Let's see. I'm going to offer a proposal. How's this sound? You like to make demands, Redline. You like to make threats. You like to stay. I'm going to put every comment that Fiona ever makes right here so all of my many followers can see what a bad person Fiona is. Fiona, whose video is true and correct on every point. every single one. She's even correct on the point that Twitter comments were deleted. And that's because my Twitter comments were deleted. My entire Twitter thread that I had tagged you into was deleted by me at your request, just so I could get you to warn Steve about this. You had not a care in the world. Your hatred for the people who called you out during Jade's funeral is still so seething that you have a vendetta, don't you, against these people. And Fiona is top on your hit list. She's an easy mark because she's a Catholic. Then again, so was your friend Jade. She was also a Catholic. She was also a feminist. And I think I know exactly what Jade would think about this, no matter how friendly she was with you, no matter how friendly and close she was with Steve McRae. She would not have accepted this. No way, not in a million years. Let that sink in, motherfucker. So I suggest something. I'm going to make a suggestion to make this go away because it ain't going away. JD Kain's video is not going to be taken down. And you are not going to continue to harass my friends, not without me having something to say about it. I suggest we all get into a either live or private hangout with moderators, referees, and we hash this shit out. And if you don't want to do that, coward, you can continue to pretend like all you care about are rockets and debunking flat earthers while uploading fucking drama videos to throw shade onto your rape apologist friend, Steve McRae, who by his own definitions, and there are many screenshots of him calling people rape apologists, he has no hesitation throwing that term around when it concerns others, including Catholics. But when he literally apologizes for a convicted rapist, all you can do is throw shade and talk about how offensive it was that your girlfriend didn't put a comma or whatever the bullshit is you're trying to spew over there to your adoring fans. I'm used to dealing with people with lots more fans than I have. It started with Brett Keane. It went on to the True Puka there for a while, Hannibal the Victor 13, just about every other motherfucker I ever took on had more social standing and more popularity than I do. I'm not afraid of you. What I am afraid of is that you're stressing my friends. And you need not trifle with them, Redline, or I shall be trifling with you, tagging you. I will fucking do whatever it takes to get this rectified, because we have to be better, don't we? We have to be better than grifters who are able to convince 180,000 people to subscribe to them as some kind of hero who calls out police abuse, who is a convicted fucking rapist, Redline, a convicted rapist. And you let it go. You let it go for reasons that are unacceptable. They're just not good reasons. Your vendetta against Fiona and the others is showing. And Steve, I'm seeing comments in your under your upload. Steve is still doing the same shit, smearing people who are good people. I know these people. I know people Steve has blocked Who the hell blocks who the hell blocks Christopher Malty? Who does that? Who? No fucking buddy does that unless you're an asshole. Sorry, I went off on a few ad homs there. I have some issues. This is the great debate community. Maybe not you, Redline. You just like to talk about rockets and debunking flat earthers, right? You're a rocket scientist, so to speak. But you upload drama videos too, where at one point in time when you were younger and better, you used to call out people who were grifting, dishonest scumbags. And yet you're throwing shade for a fucking rapist, a convicted rapist. There's a victim in this story. It's Earl David Warden's victim. And I guess I'm going to have to be the voice for her. Fiona's video is true and correct and well done. Your video is reprehensible. And yet you won't want anyone to actually know because you've already smeared them as trolls and people who were mean to you at one time. Yeah. You're not convincing them that platforming convicted rapists is something we want to avoid here in the great debate community. So let me give it a shot. Let me give it a shot. This is my desperate attempt to say, hey, you might not have known that the guy was a convicted rapist. He might have first convinced you and fooled you that it was just a Romeo-Juliet thing that ended me up on the sex offender registry for life. But even after Steve learned that the guy is a convicted rapist, and even after Steve learned that he was fooled by this guy, he still is apologizing for the behavior. He still believes the victimizer. Suddenly. Yeah. First story was he's not friends with the guy. He just thought it was an interesting topic. He didn't know. And now it's evolved. I've watched it evolve. And it's just, this community has to be better than these dumb people who are like thinking that they're making a huge impact on the world by doing police auditing. These are the police who arrest rapists. These are the police who arrest child molesters. And when the police perform these types of duties, they're actually doing us a great service. This is what they should be doing more of. They should be doing less of having to bother some idiot who's hovering around a chemical plant, yeah, and more paying attention to sex predators and violent people. That's just my opinion. We have to do better. We must all agree to do better. And it would have been so simple for Steve to say, oh shit, I hosted I hosted a rapist on my channel. I'm sorry. Thank you for calling this to my attention. I'll try not to let that happen in the future. And that would have been fine, but you are now using, Steve is now using Red's Rhetoric as cover, and Red's Rhetoric is issuing demands for apologies from Fiona. Oh, no, you will get no such thing, motherfucker. You will apologize because that is the correct thing to do. Unless you want to be known as the very thing that you used to call out, Brett Keane, grifters, bullshit artists. Yeah. unless you want to be known as that person. And you'll know it if nobody else does, Red. You will know it, and I know it. I will know it by the next action that you take on this. I will know whether you have given over to the dark side because of your ego and your need for revenge about something that hurt you over this issue. You brought it up again, Redline. You did it. And you also gave Steve an opportunity to, in your live stream chat, to continue to bash good people. People who called you out when you were an asshole at our friend Jade's wedding, and when you were abusive to your then girlfriend during that time. These people raised money so that everybody, including you, could go to this event, and you were just as they, I believe them. I believe what they said about you. These are not bad people. These are people we know and have known for a long time. You can't just suddenly turn them into trolls when they're not. I'm not going to let you get away with it. I know you know it, even if none of your fanboys and girls believe it. You'll know it, Red. Do the right thing. Do the right thing, Steve McRae. Do the simple, right thing, and let's show everybody on the internet the great debate community is better than con artists, grifting, bullshit artists. Thank you for your time and attention. Have a nice day.